you want to know who's watching your videos, like really watching your videos till the end, if you have people just spamming your account and liking it and watching for a quick second, you're going to get shadow banned. So I'm going to give you this sound to use on your own video. Ask someone to leave you some green hearts so you know that they've watched this video to the end.
She stood in front of a camera almost every day, telling total strangers to keep fighting, keep pushing, keep loving on each other. She built a whole business off that energy. And the entire time, she was hiding something so heavy that even the man who loved her never saw the bottom of it. Watch how the world first found out what was really going on with her.
From the outside looking in, Raven seemed to be living a very happy and successful life. However, fans and family were deeply saddened to learn that the influencer had been secretly battling with depression and suicidal thoughts.
2 moments tell you everything about how far apart her 2 lives really were. Moment 1 is Raven doing the thing she was known for, talking straight into the lens, pouring strength into people who needed it, sounding like somebody who had it all figured out.
It's hard to smile sometimes, so I just want to say stay positive, keep fighting, remember that we all have a common goal, remember that if we don't fight, we won't get to the goal, so we got to keep fighting, we got to keep marching.
Moment 2 is her boyfriend, months later, sitting down and saying the words nobody who followed her was ready to hear.
After our last interview, you lost your girlfriend. She took her own life.
Yeah.
Man, that I can't even really comprehend.
So, how does a young woman who spent her days lifting everybody else up end up carrying that much pain in silence? Let's go all the way back to the beginning, because the real story starts long before the world was watching. Her name was Raven Kiuna Jackson, born on September 23, 1997. A lot of people online knew her as Big Ray, or just Raven K. Jackson. She came up in Canton, Mississippi, a small place she claimed as home her whole life, right down to where they'd end up holding her service. Her mother was Kia Jackson, and she had a sister named Mia, and by all accounts, they were a tight, local family with roots deep in that town. Here's the part that shaped everything that came after. In her own words, shared later through the content people made about her, Raven grew up barely ever hearing that she was loved. Not much affection, not much of anybody telling her she mattered. A little girl who never really heard "I love you" turned into a grown woman who ended every video on the internet telling strangers exactly that. When you know where she started, it's easy to see why she built a whole platform around mental health and self-acceptance. She was trying to give other people the things she'd gone without. She was sharp too. Raven studied biomedical sciences at Auburn University in Alabama and later graduated from Jackson State University around 2022. Her Instagram bio carried both schools like a badge. She wasn't just posting workouts, she actually understood the science behind what she was teaching, and you could feel that in the way she broke things down for people. And she could teach. Watch her at work, in her element, running her people through it like the coach she saw herself as.
Welcome back, warriors. Today I will be walking you guys through a full body workout with me. Right now, as you can see, I'm doing my warm-up exercises starting with 300 jump ropes and 30 split squats on each leg just to get my muscles warmed up and ready to move some weight.
That energy turned into a real business. Raven founded and ran Go Crazy Fitness, where she sold virtual training, meal plans, athleisure, and fitness challenges. And she took her boot camps on the road to cities like Miami and Houston. She built a following of more than 200,000 people on Instagram, with some counts putting her even higher, and one of her fitness videos reportedly crossed 2 million views. On top of all that, she created a platform called Real Talk with Raven, where she opened up honest conversations about mental health, which, looking back now, carries a weight nobody understood at the time. She was hungry in a way you could feel through the screen. She talked openly about where she was trying to go, telling people, "I'm a 24-year-old black woman from Canton, Mississippi, and next year my goal is 1 million. I cannot afford to fail." That line hits so much harder now than it did then. And she wasn't doing it alone.
Around 2020, Raven got into a relationship with a Chicago rapper named 600 Breezy, born Antonio Valentino King on April 16, 1991. If you don't know him, he came out of the Chicago drill scene, made his name off raw street records like his breakout Don't Get Smoked, and he'd been in and out of legal trouble for years, so he understood loss and hard living in a way most people don't. By the time everything happened, he and Raven had been together for more than 2 years. From the outside, she looked like a young woman with the whole thing lined up: the business, the following, the education, the man in her corner. But behind all of it, something had been pulling at her for years, and it was about to become the only thing anybody talked about. The first crack the public actually got to see wasn't in her mind, it was in her body. For a long stretch, Raven had been quietly fighting her own health, and she decided to bring her followers into it. Listen to her open up about what she'd been going through when she thought nobody could tell.
What's up, babes? So, I know it's been a while since I dropped a YouTube video, but listen, life been lifing, and I hope y'all understand. But recently, I have been battling with ovarian cysts, and I felt like I needed a little guidance. And I'm sure there's a couple of girls out here who may be going through something similar or have been through something similar who need a little guidance too. So this is my story.
She was dealing with polycystic ovarian syndrome, known as PCOS, and she wasn't shy about how bad it got. She said she went to the doctor 5 separate times trying to get real answers. The first few visits, mostly male doctors, barely ran any tests, just handed her antibiotics and pain pills and sent her on her way while her symptoms got worse. One round of medication even had her heart beating erratically, which scared her enough to go back in again. It wasn't until a female doctor finally got her in for an ultrasound that she learned she had cysts on her ovaries, and even then, they told her the cysts weren't big enough to operate on, so they sent her home to just ride out the pain and follow up later.
When I say I was just in so much pain, I was just bloated. I could only sleep on my back. If I turned to my side or slept on my stomach or anything, I just felt like my uterus was falling out. I was in so much pain, and not only that, now my heart's beating erratically. It was just horrible. It was a horrible experience.
So picture what she was really carrying. A body that hurt every single day, a heart that had started acting up on her, and a business that demanded she show up smiling and strong no matter what. She was faking the good days for the camera while quietly hurting off of it. And even then, she turned her own struggle into a guide to help other women going through the same thing. That was who she was. The physical pain, though, was only one layer of it. The deeper layer was the one she almost never let anybody touch. According to the man closest to her, Raven had been fighting unaliving thoughts for years, long before the two of them ever met. She hid it so well that even living that close to her, he didn't grasp how deep it ran. Sometime around early to mid-August of 2022, about a month before the world lost her, Raven wrote out how she was really feeling and sent it to 600 Breezy. The most complete version of that message that ever went public read like this: "To Antonio, I'm just tired, baby. I was dealing with these thoughts before you met me. I was just waiting for the right time. This is my 3rd time writing this, Fra. It's nobody's fault. I've been tired for a long time. I gave up a long time ago. I just do a good job of hiding it. Right now, as I'm writing this, I'm remembering us happy, looking at our videos, imagining how beautiful of a bride I would have been." This is the same woman telling her followers to keep fighting, keep marching, keep loving on people. In that message, she talked about the stress on her heart, the ovarian pain that would not let up, feeling like she didn't fit in this world, and being flat out tired of faking happiness. She even touched on the distance that would come and go in the relationship and how she didn't want to ruin anything for him. She wasn't reaching out in a panic. She was calm, almost gentle, saying goodbye while telling him none of it was his fault. And 600 Breezy says this wasn't even the first time he pulled her back from that edge. He later explained that he'd stepped in and stopped her more than once during that period. He saw pieces of it. He just never believed it could actually end the way it did. Because when you're looking at somebody who seems to have everything, your mind talks you out of the truth. He said as much himself, sitting there trying to explain how he missed it.
I always told her that she was,
Huh.
but you know, I'm dealing with somebody that's just like beautiful, like to the eye.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm looking at her and thinking nothing's wrong with her at all, but she has so much other deeper shit in her life going on, like, that I had no control over.
That's the trap so many people fall into with somebody they love. You see the smile, the numbers, the followers, and you tell yourself they're good. Raven had spent years perfecting that smile, and in the end, it worked against her, because the better she got at hiding, the harder it was for anybody to reach her. On September 6, 2022, a Tuesday in Canton, Mississippi, Raven took her own life. She was 24 years old. There was no crime here, no suspect, no case to solve. And it's important to say that plainly, because the internet later tried to turn it into one. What actually happened was quieter, and in a way sadder. There was a stretch of days where nobody could reach her, and eventually a wellness check was requested to go see about her. When someone finally got to her apartment, she had already been gone for days. No dramatic scene, no investigation, just a young woman found too late. Because this was ruled a personal tragedy and not a crime, no detailed police or coroner report was ever released publicly, which is standard when a death like this happens. The way most of the world learned about it was through 600 Breezy. Around September 7th, he went to Instagram, shared photos of the two of them, and posted screenshots of the messages she'd sent him. He was raw and open about the guilt, saying he hated himself and would forever feel like it was his fault, and he begged his followers to take the signs of depression seriously before it's too late. That's the same thing he kept coming back to whenever he spoke on it.
I just advise everybody to just pay attention to their loved ones, and when they throw out signs of like depression, bipolarness, anything, like just take them serious, because I ain't take her serious and I regret it, you know?
But sharing those private texts didn't sit right with everybody. Some of Raven's family, including a cousin, spoke out and called it insensitive, and it turned into a whole public back and forth over whether he should have put her most private words on display at all. A few of them even pushed back on the relationship itself, saying the two of them weren't together anymore by the time she passed. Watch how fast the grief spilled over into questions about his motives.
However, since that exchange, members of Raven's family have not only spoken out on social media to express their disapproval of 600 Breezy's post, but they've also made claims that the two were no longer together when she passed away. One of Raven's cousins took to Twitter to express her concerns and may have even implied that the final text messages 600 Breezy posted from Raven were fabricated because the timelines allegedly did not match up.
That last accusation is where a lot of the online noise started. To be fair to what actually happened, 600 Breezy cleared this up himself. He said the messages he posted were never meant to be presented as her last words to him. They were from about a month before, from that August stretch, and he shared them so people could feel and understand the kind of pain she'd been carrying. The timelines the cousin flagged didn't line up because those weren't the final texts, and that gap is what fed the confusion. Once you understand that, the whole "the messages don't add up" theory falls apart on its own. From there, the rumor mill did what it always does. Fringe videos and comment sections started floating wild theories about how she really died. Some of it built off things she'd mentioned in that earlier note, some of it pure invention. None of it held up. Every credible outlet that covered her and the man closest to her all landed in the same place. No authority ever treated it as anything other than what it was, and there was never any sign of foul play. What makes Raven's story land so hard is that it isn't rare. 600 Breezy knew that grief before, and he said so. He'd already lost somebody close to that same darkness, which is exactly why he kept pushing people to pay attention.
I lost one of my male friends to suicide, my man Disco D. But never anyone that I was in a, romantic relationship with.
You see the same shape over and over. The people who look the most put together are so often the ones drowning where nobody can see it, because they've learned that keeping the mask on feels easier than being a burden. Raven said it flat out in her own message, that she gave up a long time ago and just did a good job hiding it. The success was real, the followers were real, and so was the pain that all of it was covering up. That is the terrible secret at the center of this whole story. Not something somebody exposed to hurt her, but something she carried alone for years until it was too late for anybody to help. They laid her to rest on September 17, 2022, at the Canton High School auditorium in her hometown, the same town where she started with almost nothing and told the world she couldn't afford to fail. Fans and her whole fitness community remembered her as somebody who genuinely lifted people up, which is the cruelest part of all, that she gave so many strangers the exact thing she couldn't hold on to for herself. The last thing she left the internet was the same thing she opened every video with. Let her say it in her own voice.
So I just wanted to say that I love y'all and keep being love, do everything out of love, and do everything with God first. Like, we got to stick together on this. I love y'all. Good morning.
Rest in peace, Raven Jackson. If you're watching this and you've been carrying something heavy that you've been hiding well, drop a word in the comments, not for us, but so somebody scrolling who feels the exact same way knows they aren't the only one. You never know who needs to read it.